The coffee hadn't even cooled when she said it. Calm, casual, like reading a weather report. "I want a divorce." Her voice didn't crack, not once. She thought she was delivering a death sentence. I looked up from my laptop, smiled and said, "That sounds perfect." That was the moment her confidence began to slip just slightly. Before we go any further, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel. You'll want to see how this story unfolds. Lauren stood in the doorway of my home office, framed by the soft morning light cutting through the glass behind her. Designer workout clothes, steaming coffee in one hand, the look of someone expecting an explosion that never came. 20 years of marriage, 2 sons in college, and suddenly I was the calmest man in the room. Maybe because I'd seen this coming long before she opened her mouth. For weeks, she'd been distant. New perfume, late nights, excuses that sounded rehearsed. I didn't need to guess. I already knew. The private investigator I hired had sent me everything. Pictures, bank statements, hotel receipts. Marcus Reed, my old business partner, my so-called best friend. The man who toasted our wedding and later tried to steal my clients. Lauren thought she was ending something today. What she didn't realize was that I'd already moved on. Mentally, financially, strategically. The house wasn't hers anymore. The accounts weren't ours anymore. Every move she'd made, I'd already calculated 3 steps ahead. She lingered by the door, probably waiting for me to ask why, to beg her to reconsider. Instead, I shut my laptop, poured fresh coffee and said, "If you want out, you're out. We'll keep it clean." That was the first time I saw doubt cross her face. Her plan was built on emotion. Mine was built on data. What about the boys? She asked quietly. "Noah and Evan are adults," I said. "They'll handle it." She blinked, hesitated, like she'd expected sympathy. But sympathy was expensive, and I'd already paid for 20 years. What she didn't know was that the DNA tests came back last week. The boys she thought were mine weren't. Lauren took a step back, her face pale as porcelain. Maybe she sensed it, that I knew more than I was letting on. Maybe not. Either way, the game had just begun, and I wasn't playing to lose. Lauren's footsteps echoed down the hallway, sharp and uneven, like someone walking away from a mistake they didn't know how to fix. I stayed where I was, sipping coffee that suddenly tasted better than it had in years. The silence she left behind felt surgical, clean, final, almost satisfying. 20 years of shared space, and the air already felt lighter. I opened my laptop again, scrolling through the files I'd labeled Phase 1. Bank transfers, offshore accounts, legal trust documents. Every transaction was a stitch in the safety net I'd been weaving for months. My phone buzzed, Noah's name flashing across the screen. Every Tuesday, same time, same cheerful tone. "Hey, Dad, how's everything at home?" he asked, voice bright and careless. Behind him, I could hear Evan's laughter, the faint sound of college chaos in the background. I smiled, the kind of smile that hides 1,000 truths. "Everything's fine, son." "Your mother and I have some news." There was a pause. "What kind of news?" Evan asked. I kept my voice level. "We're getting divorced." Silence spread over the line like frost. For a second, I thought the call had dropped. Then Noah spoke again, cautious. "Is this about Mom?" Did something happen? I stared at the spreadsheet on my screen, the one showing every cent she'd funneled into Marcus Reed's personal accounts. "Sometimes marriages just end," I said softly. "That's nobody's fault." That was a lie, of course. But I wasn't ready to give them the truth, not yet. They didn't need to know that their mother's affair went beyond betrayal, or that I'd confirmed they weren't even my blood. Noah cleared his throat. "Are you okay?" I could hear the worry in his voice. "I'm better than okay," I said. "I'm prepared." When the call ended, I stared at the DNA report one more time. 99.9% certainty. Numbers don't lie. People do. My attorney's text came in seconds later. Asset transfer complete. All accounts secure. The message glowed on the screen like quiet victory. Phase 1 complete. I leaned back in my chair, letting the weight of 20 years settle and dissolve. Lauren thought she was playing chess, but she'd been a pawn since the day she said "I do." The house around me felt unfamiliar now, like a stage set after the final act. Photos lined the walls, smiles, birthdays, graduations, all moments curated for an audience that no longer existed. I stood, walked past the framed memories, and turned off the lights one by one. Each click sounded like a door closing. Tomorrow she'd learn what it felt like to lose control of everything she thought she owned, and I'd learn what it felt like to finally breathe. The moving trucks arrived at 7 a.m., right on schedule. 3 men in matching grey uniforms filed into the driveway, efficient and wordless, like soldiers carrying out classified orders. Lauren was still in her robe when she saw them through the kitchen window. The coffee mug trembled in her hand. "Ethan, what's going on?" she called out, voice brittle. I didn't look at her when I answered. Phase 2, every box was labelled, every document catalogued. 20 years of shared possessions were being divided with surgical precision. The scent of cardboard and dust filled the house as the movers dismantled our life piece by piece. "You're really doing this?" she asked, following me down the hall. "The contracts are signed," I said, checking my list. "Everything's documented!" This is insane," she snapped. "We haven't even talked about counselling." I stopped and turned to face her. "What would we discuss, Lauren? How you've been wiring money to Marcus Reed for 2 years?" Her mouth fell open, colour draining from her face. What are you talking about?" 23 transactions, $47,000, all traceable." I pulled out my phone and showed her the bank statements. Her eyes darted over the screen, wide and disbelieving. "How did you even get this?" "I'm a hedge fund manager, remember? Investigating numbers is literally what I do." "You and Marcus were just another bad investment." She backed into the wall as a mover carried my desk past us. The thud of furniture against hardwood filled the silence between us. "Ethan, please," she whispered, voice cracking. "It's not what you think. It's exactly what I think. How long have you known?" "Long enough to stop pretending." One of the movers appeared again. "Sir, where do you want the safe?" "New address," I said. "Everything on the master list goes with me." When he left, Lauren reached out, grabbing my sleeve. "We can fix this." "I made mistakes, but we can fix it." I looked down at her hand, then at her eyes, blue, frightened, calculating even now. "Some things can't be fixed, Lauren. They can only be replaced." Her grip loosened. "What does that mean?" "You'll find out soon enough." By noon, the rooms were empty, stripped of warmth and history. The echo of our footsteps bounced off bare walls. I walked through the house one last time, making sure nothing remained that carried my name. Outside, the air smelled like rain and freedom. My phone buzzed, a new message flashing across the screen. "Dinner confirmed for Friday. Looking forward to it. Clara." I smiled for the first time in months, slid the phone into my pocket, and stepped into the sunlight. Behind me, Lauren stood in the doorway, clutching her robe, watching as the life she'd built on lies drove away in a moving truck. The penthouse smelled like new beginnings. Leather, steel, and glass. I'd chosen everything myself, black furniture, sharp lines, nothing sentimental. A space stripped of history, built for control. From the floor-to-ceiling windows, the city spread beneath me like a grid of possibilities. At 7 sharp, the elevator chimed, and Clara stepped out, carrying a bottle of Cabernet and a smile that reached her eyes. For the first time in months, I felt something other than calculation. "This place is incredible," she said, setting the wine on the counter. "You really did start over." I had good motivation. She laughed softly, and the sound filled the sterile room with warmth. "How are you holding up, Ethan?" "Better than expected. Would you like the grand tour?" We moved through the apartment together, the minimalist office, the gym, the bedroom with its skyline view. "Very masculine," she said diplomatically. That was the point. We ended up on the couch with 2 glasses of wine between us. Clara studied my face with the patience of someone who reads people for a living. She ran a consulting firm specializing in corporate restructuring, which meant she understood rebuilding from ruin. "So," she said, "how did Lauren take the move?" like someone who just realized the rules changed. Men change when they stop tolerating unacceptable behavior, she said. It scares people who counted on your compliance. Her words landed deeper than she knew. My phone buzzed. A message from Noah. Dad, can we visit this weekend? I showed it to Clara. How do you feel about that?
Complicated, I admitted.
They're good kids, but not biologically mine. She froze mid-sip, lowering her glass slowly. You had tests done? DNA confirmation. 99.9% certainty.
20 years of fatherhood built on someone else's foundation. That must have been devastating. It was.
Now it's just data.
I'm not angry anymore, just awake, she nodded.
You're protecting them from fallout they didn't create. That's strength, not detachment. We talked until midnight. Business, life, the difference between truth and performance. Clara didn't need rescuing or validation. She was whole, and that wholeness steadied me. When she left, she kissed my cheek and said, "Thank you for being exactly who you are." After she was gone, the silence felt different. Not empty, but earned. I stood at the window watching headlights crawl across the streets below. Somewhere out there, Lauren was probably calling Marcus, panicking over frozen accounts and missing funds. I let the thought drift away. Let them scramble. For the first time in 20 years, I wasn't reacting. I was orchestrating. The city pulsed beneath me, alive, relentless, and entirely mine. Monday morning brought the phone call I'd been expecting. Lauren's name lit up my screen just as the first light hit the city skyline. I let it ring twice before answering, sipping my coffee as if we were about to discuss weather, not war.
Ethan, she said, voice sharp with panic. What did you do?
I can't access our investment accounts. Nothing illegal, I said evenly. Everything's been moved into protected trusts. Protected from what? From you. For a long moment, there was only silence. Then the sound of something breaking, maybe glass, maybe her composure. You can't do this, she whispered. I already did. Check the paperwork, Lauren. Every major investment was made through my hedge fund using my capital. Your name was only on the household accounts for convenience. 20 years of marriage means something legally, she snapped. So does adultery. So does fraud. I could hear her breathing. Ragged, angry, frightened. You have no right. I have documentation, I interrupted. $47,000 in unauthorized transfers. You can call your attorney. He'll explain the terms of the prenup you forgot existed. She hung up. I smiled. An hour later, my phone rang again. This time it was Marcus.
Ethan, we need to talk. No, we don't. This is bigger than your bruised ego.
You're destroying lives, I laughed, a short, dry sound.
I'm destroying lives?
That's rich, coming from the man who spent 2 years stealing from me. Look, what Lauren and I have, it's real. We never meant for it to happen. You never meant to get caught, I said. He sighed. We can fix this.
There's enough money for everyone. There was enough money, I said.
Before you started taking mine, I'll pay you back. With what, Marcus? Your consulting firm?
I've seen your books.
You're broke without her. The line went dead for a beat. I could almost hear him calculating, realizing how cornered he truly was. You're making a mistake, he said finally. The only mistake I made, I replied, was trusting a snake. I ended the call and blocked his number. Let them panic. Let them drown in the consequences they'd written for themselves. A knock sounded at my office door. Mr. Caldwell, my assistant said, Clara Bennett is here for your lunch meeting. Send her in. She entered wearing a navy suit that could cut glass, calm but sharp as ever. You look pleased with yourself, she said, settling across from my desk. Lauren discovered her new financial reality this morning, I said. How did she take it?
Like a child finding out Santa isn't real, Clara smiled, slow and knowing.
And how do you feel? For the first time in years, I said, free. Friday evening arrived with the quiet precision of something inevitable. I was setting the table for dinner when the doorman called. Mr. Caldwell, your wife is here. She says it's urgent. I looked at Clara, who was arranging flowers in the vase.
Should I leave?
she asked softly.
Absolutely not, I said.
You have every right to be here. When the elevator doors opened, Lauren stepped out looking like she hadn't slept in days. Her perfect composure was gone, replaced by wrinkled clothes and desperation. She froze when she saw Clara. "Who is this?" she demanded. "This is Clara Bennett," I said evenly. "Clara, my ex-wife, Lauren." Clara extended her hand politely. "Nice to meet you." Lauren ignored it. "We need to talk, alone." "Whatever you need to say, you can say here," I replied. "This is inappropriate. We're still married, only on paper," I said. "And not for much longer." Her eyes darted around the penthouse, taking in the sleek furniture, the skyline view, the proof of a life she no longer belonged to.
"How can you even afford this place?"
she asked. "The same way I afforded our old one," I said. "By working for it. Without me, you mean?" "We built everything together," I laughed softly.
"You contributed what exactly?" "Spending my money while sleeping with Marcus Reed." She flinched like I'd hit her.
"That's not fair. Fair would have been honesty," I said. "This is justice." Clara moved closer, silent but steady, her presence like armor. Lauren's eyes flicked toward her, brimming with hate. "You're just going to stand there while he destroys a 20-year marriage?" Clara's tone stayed calm. "I'm standing with a man who stopped accepting lies."
"That's not destruction. That's self-respect." Lauren turned back to me, trembling.
"The boys will never forgive you for this." "They'll understand when they know the truth." Her voice dropped. "What truth?"
"All of it." Something in my tone froze her. She knew. I saw it. The flicker of awareness that I'd discovered everything. "You need to leave," I said, quietly.
"Clara and I have dinner plans." She hesitated, then turned away, shoulders shaking. The elevator doors closed behind her with a muted chime. "Saturday afternoon," Noah called.
His voice was tight. "Dad, we need to talk."
"We drove home last night. Mum's been crying for 2 days. She'll recover," I said. "She says you're trying to take everything. I'm protecting what I built." "This isn't like you," Evan said in the background. "You sound different." "I am different," I said.
I stopped mistaking kindness for weakness. There was silence.
Then Noah spoke softly. "Are you happy?" I looked out over the city, the sky glowing gold above the glass towers. For the first time in years, yes, I'm finally living in truth. Months later, Noah moved in with me. Evan stayed to care for his mother. Balance of a kind. The last piece of a broken puzzle finding its place. One evening, Clara stood beside me at a charity gala, elegant and confident, her hand resting lightly on my arm. Across the room, Lauren and Marcus hovered near the bar, dressed like success but looking like ghosts. Clara followed my gaze. "They look diminished. They built their lives on lies," I said. "Lies collapse." Richard Hale, an old business contact, approached with a glass of champagne. "Ethan, that tip you gave me about Marcus Reed saved my firm a fortune," he said. I nodded politely. Justice didn't need applause. Later, as we left, Lauren crossed our path. She looked older, smaller, voice subdued.
"Ethan," she said, "I'm sorry for all of it." I believed her. "Thank you," I said. "Are you happy?"
she asked. "Yes," I replied simply. Driving home, Clara leaned her head on my shoulder. "When are you going to ask me to marry you?" she teased. I smiled, glancing at the ring box hidden in my jacket pocket. "Soon," I said. "Some foundations crumble under pressure.
Others endure."
I'd finally built mine on truth, and for the first time in 20 years, it felt unshakable.